Last time on my Sonic journey, I made my way through the incredible Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Today, I'll share with you the next step on my path to becoming a Sonic fan, Sonic CD. Once again, in case this is your first time watching, I'm a grown man who has gamed all his life, yet never played through any Sonic games up to this point. In the past, I've only tried Secret Rings and Mania, seen all 3 live-action movies, and now, on this trek through the legendary gaming classic, I've finished Colors, Sonic 1, and Sonic 2 before this one. I got the Sonic Origins collection on sale after trying and enjoying Colors with it being free on PlayStation Plus. So far, Sonic 2 has been my favorite of the games I've played, and I'll start by saying that CD, while good and enjoyable, has not quite taken its place. Don't get me wrong, I like the game a lot, and it did improve on the first game in many ways, just like Sonic 2, but I didn't feel that these improvements were as significant as the direct sequel. The big new mechanic of this game, where Sonic 2 introduces Tails and a few other staples in the levels, Sonic CD's flagship edition gameplay-wise, is using signposts to travel to the past and future respectively, placing you in a different timeline version of whatever level you're playing. This was extremely cool, and seeing how the levels change depending on which point in time you're in was intriguing and unique, especially for the time, but I couldn't help feeling like it was a tad underutilized. As I mentioned, using the stop sign time machines to open up a new path or something of the like was cool, but it only felt truly purposeful when going to the past to destroy Eggman's machines and get the good ending. Maybe I just missed something in the future versions of each level, but as far as I could tell, this was the biggest point of time traveling, which is all well and good of course. It's certainly creative and adds replayability as usual, except for the fact that you don't even have to do it at all. Now, I should mention that I did not find all the past machines or get all the time stones in this playthrough, but out of curiosity, I looked up the purpose of the time stones since this has been the only game so far to be rid of the Chaos Emeralds in favor of them, and found out that they're actually just a way for you to completely avoid finding the machines and therefore having no need to go to the past or future in any real capacity. And aside from me just sucking and not getting a grasp on this game's special stages by the time I finished it, these did feel like the simplest ones so far, the biggest obstacle being my own depth perception. It's fairly straightforward. You run around the stage and try to destroy all the UFOs before the timer runs out. Sounds simple enough, but those UFOs sure can play dodgeball, and it can seriously mess with that depth perception like I mentioned a second ago. I absolutely prefer these to Sonic 1's special stages, but versus Sonic 2, I'm not sure which I like more. I definitely still like the way of accessing them in Sonic 2 the most though, as this game has the same requirements as the first. Reach the end of the level with 50 rings, and jump into the giant ring. This, however, despite being the same on paper as Sonic 1, is actually improved upon because there isn't quite the same amount of random BS thrown at you as there is in the first game. It's far more reasonable to expect you to achieve this goal when the levels are more fair and much better designed for the character's moveset, though still not up to the same tier as Sonic 2. Even though the level design is much more fair, this is still an early game and one of the sequels to the original. So while not as unfair as the first, it's still arguably cheesier than its sister game. Not only that, but it was the shortest game so far for me. Maybe that's because I've gotten better, or maybe it just actually is a lot shorter, but I completed Sonic CD in about an hour and a half or so. I still had a lot of fun with what was there. It's short and sweet, you know? Half as long, twice as bright. If you know, you know. Though, maybe not quite twice as bright. But you get the idea. The levels, as always, are beautiful, even with this entry's changed art style. They went for a slightly different aesthetic for CD, having a more robotic and even nearly vaporwave kind of look at times. This suits the theme very well and allows you to tell the difference between the time periods of each zone clearly just by looking. Zones like Wacky Workbench and Metallic Madness especially lean into the more robotic, futuristic look, but even zones like Palm Tree Panic and the usual water zone, Tidal Tempest, have more futuristic and sleek color schemes and designs this time around. Then you have things like Collision Chaos that starts to mix forest with factory, and the art gets very intricate and lively with storytelling built in. At first, I wasn't sure about the different color tones and art style, but I really grew to like it over my time playing it, and I continue to think about how much it stands out from the other games after I've finished it. One change I don't particularly feel great about is the sound effects. While the music is still great as usual, Sonic CD features a whole host of new sound effects, including for the jump, spin dash, and even springs. I can appreciate the effort for sure, but I much prefer the original sound effects. They better suited the character and feel of the game, and it felt weird hearing everything sound so different the whole way through. It really stuck out to me, and the whole game I just wanted the old sounds back. Thankfully, they didn't seem to touch the ring collecting sound effects. That would be blasphemy, but I guess even Sega knew that. I did, however, really like the sounds when you pass the signs and they say, past, or future. It gave me a kind of Transformers vibe, and I couldn't help repeating it each time I passed one. The bosses were pretty consistent with the rest of the series so far, pretty solid with interesting and sometimes puzzling mechanics to figure out to beat them, the most memorable of which, obviously, being one of the new major characters, Metal Sonic. Instead of fighting him, you race him while being chased by Eggman firing a laser behind you constantly. Meanwhile, you're teased by Metal Sonic's almost taunting theme song.
Would you shut up already and get back here?
Sonic, I've been listening to this stupid song for 3 days. So quit complaining, destroy this overgrown washing machine, and get me out of here!
And challenged to stay ahead as he dashes through obstacles you can't and shocks you to knock you back into the laser. This race took me more attempts than I'd cared to admit, but it was fun, and eventually I did get Smartphone Sonic destroyed by his own boss. #relatable. At the end of the race lies the other new character, Amy, who had been captured by your metal clone earlier in the game. These two were both fairly new to me. I'd seen them before, but didn't really know much about them. I still don't understand much, aside from Metal Sonic being obviously an evil robot version of Sonic, and Amy is Sonic's girlfriend, I guess? Still not sure on that one, but she seems like she could have an interesting dynamic with Sonic. I should also talk about how Sonic CD is the first game to have animated cutscenes at the opening and ending of the game, not added in by the Origins version. These are really creative and fun to watch, and if these were made into a show to tell the story of the games, I'd totally watch it. More of these, please. By the end of the game, I had a lot of fun, but it was so short I was hoping for more. I guess I'll just have to replay it and get all the time stones and everything, but wanting more means the game must have been pretty good, right? I gave Sonic 1 a 6, Sonic 2 a 7.5, and this one sits just about in the middle at a 6.5. If we're getting specific, a 6.75, but for simplicity's sake, 6.5. It improves upon the first in meaningful, fun ways, but not quite as well as Sonic 2. Tried a lot of new interesting things that were cool and unique, but it felt too short to give it much higher. This, and the last game I played, had me very excited for Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as I've heard it may be the best classic Sonic game aside from Mania. So stay tuned for my next video, where I'll be playing through and discussing my experience with that next entry. As always, you can follow me on Twitch to watch these playthroughs live, follow me on Instagram for stream schedule info, and check out my VOD channel in case you miss a stream. Thanks for listening to me share my thoughts on yet another game most people have probably played decades ago. Hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful day.